Mary Jo, will you take the roll, please?
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Colin Gallagher. Here. Katie Gallagher. Here. Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Tom Murphy.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin our meeting, on behalf of Brooklyn City Council, I'd like to offer our condolences to former school board member and president Kit Kraus on the passing of his father, Mr. Robert Kraus. Okay, we have minutes to approve from our meeting of February 11th. We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
To approve, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. We'll now have our public session. If anyone has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and please observe our 5-minute time limit.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Rick Singer, and I'm a school board member here in Brooklyn, Ohio. Just want to give you a little bit of update of what's going on with the Brooklyn schools. I live at 6211 Delora Avenue. We're going to be having tours of the school buildings coming soon in March. So look for the calendar on our website. We're going to ask citizens, council members, mayor, anybody who's interested to come visit our school. We're going to have guided tours to show you what the condition of our buildings are. They'll also be available on video on our website as well at www.brooklyn.k12.oh. We had a very successful spaghetti fundraiser this past Saturday, and I want to personally thank all of you who attended or donated to the event. We had over 300 citizens, parents, children attend the spaghetti dinner and fundraiser for Support Our Schools campaign. And finally, I'd like to encourage all the Brooklyn seniors, parents of children at Brooklyn schools to please make sure you're registered to vote. We do have an important levy campaign coming up on May 7th, and the important thing is that you cast your ballot here in Brooklyn. Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn? Okay. We'll move on to reports of committees, commissions, and boards. I'll begin with the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee did start early this evening at 6 p.m. We recommended approval of the following items. First, request for acceptance of a grant. This is for the fire department for breathing apparatus. We've been awarded a grant of $137,176, and our city is required to match $7,219. So we recommended approval to both accept the grant and advertise for bids for the equipment. And the chief told me on the way walking in that because the standard may change this year, that we actually will not go out to bid until probably sometime in July. But he'll let us know before he goes out to bid. The next item was authorizing to advertise for bids to furnish canned pop, juice, bottled water, sports drinks, fountain syrup, and vending services at the John M. Coyne Rec Center in the Brooklyn Memorial Park. Next is ordinance 2013-5, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the juvenile diversion coordinator. We recommend putting this on first reading. And ordinance 2013-6, authorizing the sale of certain city-owned vehicles. This is equipment that we no longer use. We're going to authorize sending them over to an auction place so we can try and get some funds for them. And since I'm also the Economic Development Committee representative, I'll give that report now as well. We did have a meeting Friday, February 15th at 11 a.m. Under new businesses, we have Triad Engineering on Clinton Road will be coming in. U.S. Bank will have their grand opening on March 1st. Huntington Bank will move into their former space in Giant Eagle. And the Walmart Supercenter will have their grand opening on February 27th at 7:30 a.m. We talked about the Plain Dealer Access Agreement for the County Assessment Grant. It's still in the hands of the legal department. The Tiedemann Road, adding of a right-hand turn lane onto I-480 West, we have a verbal okay, and they're now doing an environmental assessment. We discussed the widening of the ramps onto Tiedemann Road from 480. We expect construction will begin this July. Then after this is completed, the timing of the lights on Tiedemann, I believe it's all the way from Bidoff through Brook Park, will be addressed at that time. Associate Avenue, we plan on making some much-needed repairs on that street this year. We have applied for several grants, and we're pretty optimistic that we will receive some funding to help offset the costs to repair this road. We did discuss the idea that we've been kicking around for quite a while now to hire some sort of marketing firm or strategic planning firm, and this will have to be approved through the budget process. We voted to extend the job creation agreements with Donald Martin's Ambulance and Cleveland Tech Solutions. That's the daycare that's going to be opening in March in the former old library building. And the reason we extended those for 1 year is because their projects were delayed. And we will again host a mayor's breakfast sometime this June. Next, we'll move on to Recreation Board. Mr. Tansky.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. I want to update everyone on the Silver Sneakers membership. In October 2012, we had 150 members. Following that, in November 2012, we had 160 members. By December 2012, we were up to 169 members. We have continued to increase membership and currently have a total of 233 members. Silver Sneakers has added Kaiser to the program, and with the steady increase in membership, the Brooklyn Rec Center will continue to benefit from this organization. The next Rec Board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 18th, 2013, at 6:30 p.m. in the Mayor's Court. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. The City of Brooklyn Zoning Board of Code Appeals met at its regular meeting Thursday, February 21st, 2013, and had two items on the docket. First was the granting of 3 variances for a freestanding sign located at 10750 Brook Park Road, Lone Max. The variances were for height, sign face, square footage, and for a freestanding sign on a lot without a minimum of 100-foot frontage. This sign was previously approved by the Planning Commission contingent upon zoning approval. Secondly, was the owner of 6607 Vandalia Avenue requested an additional 6-month variance extension not to rebuild a 2-car garage. The board granted the extension not to rebuild with the stipulation that the owner has to come back to the board for progress updates in 6 months. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have the Planning Commission. Mrs. Katie Gallagher.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. The Planning Commission will meet Thursday, March 7th at 6 p.m. in the Brooklyn Mayor's Court to hear a request from Sign Vision Company to install a 151-foot illuminated sign on the building face for TJ Maxx located at 4794 Ridge Road as part of an overall remodel. That's permanent parcel 433-07008. Also to hear a request from the Cleveland Bible Baptist Church for a lot consolidation located at 4431 Tiedemann Road, including permanent parcels 432-09002, 432-09001, 432-08010, 432-08009, 432-08008, 432-08007, 432-08006, and 432-08011. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to reports of council, and we begin with Mr. DeMarco.
Okay, I just have a couple brief comments. As Mr. Singer alluded to, I was able to attend the fundraiser this past Saturday for the Brooklyn Schools levy effort. The food was great, and so was the camaraderie. Major changes are happening in Brooklyn, not only with the business that comes before this council, but also with our schools. The independent school system that many of us have benefited from is facing some serious financial issues. Please take the time to get informed about what is happening with our schools. If you have heard the many rumors about whatever the topic is related to the schools, take the time to contact the superintendent or any member of the school board so that you have the facts. It is imperative that you have the specifics required to make an informed decision on this very important issue coming up in May. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Van Kirk?
I have no report this evening.
Mrs. Gallagher?
I have no report this evening.
Mrs. Katie Gallagher?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'd first like to thank and congratulate Chief Zemek on the fire department in applying for the FEMA grant and getting approved. I'd also like to congratulate our finance director and her staff for being awarded the Certificate of Excellence for the CAFR, like the mayor announced last week. And lastly, I'd just like to remind residents that the city will have a budget meeting on March 4th at 6 p.m. in the City Hall conference room. This is an excellent time to see how your tax dollars are being spent, so I hope everyone could come to this meeting especially for the year. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Tansky?
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Good evening. After the conclusion of the city council meeting, there will be a council work session for a presentation by Johnson Controls relating to potential energy savings projects for the city of Brooklyn. The Sustainability Committee will also be in attendance. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy?
The only thing I have is question, and it can certainly be addressed by the President, Council, or the Mayor, that to confirm that there are discussing the widening of all ramps on Tiedemann Road to 3 lanes. So we'll have right turn off of those ramps or right turn onto those ramps. That's all I have.
Thank you.
The way I understand it, they're going to add 1 lane to each exit ramp. So there'll be 3 lanes on each exit ramp. There's no discussion to put any extra lanes on the on-ramp. So as you exit westbound and exit eastbound, there'll be an extra lane.
I think you're referring to the continuous turn lane onto 480 west by the Plain Dealer.
Westbound and eastbound.
Okay.
On-ramps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not. The one in front of the Plain Dealer, we're going to add 1, but there's no discussion on the other one for eastbound.
That's the only one. Westbound.
You're adding a lane to the westbound
On-ramp and off-ramp.
from Tiedemann,
Yes.
on and off. So the only one that won't be touched is the on-ramp eastbound.
That's correct. That's the way I understand it.
So it'll still be a traffic jam at 5 o'clock or 4
Well, they
o'clock
don't-
or 5 o'clock.
The state isn't adding one there, no. Usually the state's only concerned about getting the traffic off of the freeway.
I understand. Have we figured out, they're going to be there, working on the lanes, what would it cost us to widen it?
I have no idea. I remember from years past, that particular spot that you're talking about, there was a lot of underground things that had to be moved, which really upped the price.
I know, I did talk to the state, when I talked to the state months ago, they said that's not a big deal.
Well, it used
Well,
to be.
Yeah, it used to be.
Well, maybe you could have Fran
Yeah, we
check
can,
in.
we can check, but right now, Tom, that's not in the plan.
Well, I'd appreciate you checking into it, because
Sure.
that is part of a huge traffic jam, and that would relieve some of the traffic up there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, I have a report. The Safe Routes to School Committee met Tuesday, February 12th. We are no longer able to use the same logo, which, I don't know if you've seen it on the signs, but it's the footprints. The original source of the logo was put on notice for a potential copyright infringement, so all the users who have used this logo were notified that they have to stop using it. There will be a contest conducted at the middle school to select a new logo. The decision was made to apply for more funding in the next round. However, we will not be applying for any infrastructure funding in this round. We received a substantial grant in 2010 for $174,000 for our current projects. The uncertainty of the future location of the schools and the fact that our largest remaining project has right-of-way issues, which ODOT does not want to get involved in, fed into this decision. The bike rodeo will be May 3rd for the schools and May 4th for the community. I did talk to Chief Milky, and we will be bringing back the bike registrations in the city. We will have cards available to register bikes, and then the information will be input into a database. We discussed adding the middle school to the Walking Wednesdays, and that after spring break, the Walking Wednesdays will be every week instead of one Wednesday a month, as they have been during the winter. Arrangements have been made with the Brooklyn License Bureau to conduct the background checks for the volunteers. And I'm waiting for a PDF of the flyer and sign-up sheet, which I will pass along to Jill so that we can have a link to this from our city website. And I'd like to thank Mr. Fitzgerald for including the name of the businesses with the applications before the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. We had a request from a resident who was frustrated because when we announced the address and the permanent parcel number, up here, we all know where that is, but residents, both in the audience and the viewing audience, didn't know where that was. So thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald, for making that change. And as Mrs. Katie Gallagher mentioned, our next budget meeting is Monday, March 4th at 6 p.m. And Mr. Tansky already announced that we are having a work session, and that also is open to the public. Next, we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mayor Belbier.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. This afternoon, I was at Polaris for a dinner, and they wanted me to mention that they're going to have a career fair Wednesday, March 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're going to have all kind of employers there, so if you're interested in looking for a job, that's where to go. So that's Wednesday, March 27th. It'll start at 10 a.m. and last at least until 2 p.m. And Polaris Career Center is located at 7285 Old Oak Road, Middleburg Heights, Ohio. That's the road right next to Southwest Hospital. Also this year, they're going to have the Senior Olympics in Greater Cleveland, and that's May 13th through May 17th. And if you're interested in it, the registration number to call is area code 216-749-5367. This is also the time of the year when each department turns in their annual reports. And I think the residents are interested in at least the highlights of each report because it tells you what's going on in the city. So the report from the building department for 2012, residents reinvested in their properties $20,660,000 worth of improvements, and that required 496 permits. The commercial investment in Brooklyn for 2012 was $9,610,000, and that required 427 permits. The Brooklyn Senior Center had over 20,000 people sign in to use the Senior Center during 2012, and they delivered 3,107 Meals on Wheels. In the van transportation, they transported 3,517 passengers. The fire department had 722 fire alarms, 1,702 EMS calls, and that's an 18% increase over last year. So that's a total of 2,424 alarms. And they received over $365,000 for the EMS billing. And they also had grants of $96,266 for 2012. But like Mrs. Pucci announced tonight, they got a grant already this year for $137,000. And the fire loss for 2012 was $321,150. And the other thing is Walmart is having their grand opening finally for their superstore, and that's going to be this Wednesday morning at 7:30 in the morning, and the public's invited. And they will add 85 more jobs to their complex. And that's all I have, Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you, Mayor. And we don't have any reports this evening from directors, so we'll move on. Before we start with the rest of the agenda, we have a brief housekeeping item. Every year, we have two of our members who are appointed to serve on the Volunteer Fire Dependents Board, and up until this year, they've been appointed by council, and that was kind of the end of it, other than reporting it to the state. Well, we learned that there's a little bit more to it, and one of the clauses is that they say the legislative body to elect. So earlier at our organizational meeting, I selected Mr. Tansky and Mr. Murphy to serve on that board. So just as a formality this evening, we're going to elect them to that board. So I need a motion to elect Tom Murphy to the Volunteer Fire Dependents Board.
Move to approve.
Second.
To confirm the appointments, the appointment of Tom Murphy, Tony DeMarco,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Colin Gallagher,
Yes.
Katie Gallagher,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Have to abstain.
No, you don't.
You don't
Oh,
have
I
to.
Because there's no money
I'm
involved.
going to approve me then.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Next, we need a motion to elect Councilman Kevin Tansky to the Volunteer Fire Dependents Board.
Move to approve.
Second.
To confirm the appointment, Tony DeMarco,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Colin Gallagher,
Yes.
Katie Gallagher,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Tom Murphy,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes, okay. So next we'll move on. We have a liquor permit. It's a stock transfer from KGF Incorporated, does business as Bidoff Beverage, 6980 Bidoff Road, to Jan Veer LLC, does business as Bidoff Beverage, 6980 Bidoff Road. And Chief, any objections? Okay, so we need a motion of no objection.
Move for no objection.
Second.
For no objection, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk,
Abstain.
Colin Gallagher, Katie Gallagher,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Next, we have the letter from Chief Zemek requesting the acceptance of the grant for the breathing apparatus, which I read before. The grant is $137,176, with our match as $7,219. So we need a motion to accept the grant.
I'll make that motion to accept.
Second.
To accept the grant, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. And Chief, congratulations on being awarded that grant. Next, we need authorization to advertise for bids for the breathing apparatus.
Move to authorize for bids.
Second.
To advertise for bid, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Next is authorization to advertise for bids for the canned pop juice, bottled water, sports drinks, fountain syrup, and vending services for the John M. Coyne Recreation Center and Brooklyn Memorial Park.
Move to advertise for bids for the Pop
Second.
Recreation. To advertise for bid, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Next, we have ordinance 2013-5, which is going to be on first reading this evening, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the juvenile diversion coordinator. And next, we have ordinance 2013-6, authorizing the sale of certain city-owned vehicles through the Greater Cleveland Auto Auction Public Auctioneers for the purpose of disposing of city vehicles and equipment at public sale. And Mr. Verba, do you want this, you want this passed tonight, correct, by emergency?
If possible.
Okay.
Introduced by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
To adopt, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Does the mayor or any other members of council have anything further they'd like to say? Mayor?
Yes, I do. There was a water leak on Ridge Road for those of you that were affected by it over near Orchard Grove. It's been repaired, and the service director told me the water department's going to pour the concrete tomorrow, so hopefully that's the end of it. That's all I have.
Okay. We need a motion to adjourn, please?
To adjourn?
Second. To adjourn, Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Colin Gallagher.
Yes.
Katie Gallagher.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Tom Murphy.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Work session.